Hello and welcome to On the Rocks, a BRTFC Supporters Club podcast where we discuss all things BRTFC, and I'm your host, Liam Goodley. This broadcast and our club are sponsored by Reynolds Furniture. Visit their store on 27 to 31 High Street, Bognor Regis today, or log on to their website, www.reynoldsfurniture.co.uk, for more details on a fantastic local service they can offer you. I'm joined today by Rocks legend and fans' favourite. He was the driving force behind much of Bognor's success and captained the side for many years. He's now manager at Horndean Football Club. Welcome to the one and only Bognor legendary midfielder, Michael Birmingham. Thanks for joining me, Birmy. How are you?
Very well, Liam, thank you. Very well indeed. And I appreciate the call about coming on here. It's been a long time, and I'm looking forward to it. I've listened to all the other podcasts, doing a great job and keeping everyone going at this difficult time in life.
Thanks, Birmy, and it's really great to hear from you, and I appreciate you talking to me today. How is life for Birmy right now? Can you believe it's been 10 years since you left the club?
I know, flies by, doesn't it? Flies by. It's unbelievable. I still remember the phone call I had with Jamie Owl as though it was yesterday when we both decided enough was enough and it was time to depart.
So that was in 2009-10 sort of season?
No, it was the year after the Chatham game.
Yeah.
So, but no, everything's good in the Birmingham household. All my family's very, very safe and well. So yes, I'm very happy.
That's good to hear, Birmy. And Bognor fans refer to you simply as Birmy, which is great. But do you know the origins of this nickname, or is this a simple explanation, just an abbreviation of your surname? Do you like being referred to as this?
When I was playing and I crossed the white line, I was always Birmy. Off the pitch, I'm totally different. I'm a totally different person, and I prefer being called Michael off the pitch. But on the pitch, it's like a separate identity. You leave Michael in the change room, you put the Birmy on, and then once you leave the field of play as well, you're back to Michael.
That's great. And I'm talking to Birmy after a rather frustrating 2019-20 season brought to a close by leagues and government officials due, understandably, to the coronavirus outbreak. Birmy, as a manager, how frustrating was it for you when you put in all the hard work to see a season to a completion?
No, to me it wasn't. It wasn't frustrating. At the end of the day, people are dying because of this, and you've got to be safe. That's the number one priority, and I think a lot of people forget that. They're all about, but we've done this, it means nothing. It means nothing at the end of the day. You've got to make sure that your family members, your friends, everyone you're associated with are safe and well and ready to go again. All this about the frustration of football. Look, football's a big part in our life, but at the end of the day, I'm not being funny. I wouldn't want any one of my friends or any one of my family members to be hit with this and lose their life. So I'm not really frustrated about it. I think it was the right decision to do. Could it have been done earlier? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not the Prime Minister. I don't know exactly what's going on with the scientists, but it was the right call to do.
Yeah, I agree with that, Birmy, and I think football is something, obviously a lot of people love football, but it's important to keep everybody safe, and they have to make sure that it's all clear before we go back, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We've done a few things at Horndean. We have like the Zoom quizzes, the Zoom meetings I've had with my backroom staff and everything. So I've been in touch with my players and my staff for about 2-3 times a week for the past 9-10 weeks.
Wow, that's good to know that you're keeping in touch with the players, and obviously safety of the human race on this planet is more important. But to see leagues being left unfinished and made null and void must have been a real blow to clubs across the world. Did you find this to be the case for you at Horndean, or what kind of financial strains has this meant for your team?
Well, we've had to scrap the reserve side, which wasn't an easy decision to make, because when I took over at Horndean, which was just over 4 years ago, there was only a first team and an under-18s, and I desperately wanted a reserve side. So it took 2 years to get into place. Obviously, the financial strain of running a reserve side is quite a lot, and I couldn't have it coming off of anything to do with the first team, because we all know every football club revolves around the first team, and that's unfortunately the way it is. And yeah, so we've had to get rid of reserves just in case. Now, I might get another reserve side in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. I don't know. I do not know. But the only good thing with Horndean is we don't have a lot of overheads. But the same as Bognor, we get all our money through, obviously, the social bar, the functions, weddings, christenings, birthday parties. And we haven't had that open for the last 10 to 12 weeks. So I don't know. I've got to sit down and speak with the chairman. But like I say, we haven't got a lot of overhead. So I don't think we'd be financially as crippled as what other clubs will be.
Do they sign contracts at Horndean, or is it mainly pay by play each week?
No. We have Benny Reid on contract. I put him on contract a couple of years ago, which obviously haven't Waterville come in and paid some very, very good money for young Benny. And we've still got another 2 players on contract that I firmly believe do have a great opportunity in the game to step up, develop, and basically, hopefully one day play for a club that I was fortunate enough to play for, Bognor. Benny Reid's a prime example. So Sam Smart. Sam Smart's flying at Eastleigh. So, yeah, we're managing to get young players, hoping to educate them, guide them, and pat them on the back and say, now go and enjoy yourself.
Well, that sounds great, Birmingham. And can we talk about how things all started for you at Horndean? How did the club approach you, and what's the experience like been for you so far?
Oh, I was actually at AFC Porchester as a youth team manager. I went there to do the under-18s, and then I had a phone call off of Paul Kelly, the AFC Porchester chairman, who I get on extremely well with still. And he said to me, Horndean's putting a 7-day approach for you to go there as their number one, but I'd like to offer you the reserve team job. And I was working under Graham Ricks at the time. And obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm very loyal. I enjoyed my time at Porchester. I went and sat down with Horndean, but as soon as I walked through the social bar to meet the committee members, the chairman and the volunteers, it was such a warm feeling. Such a warm feeling that I made my mind up within probably about the first 2 minutes that I was going to take the job.
That's good to know, Birmingham. And when we look back at your career as a player, could we talk a bit about when you started and where you played for in your youth?
Yeah, no problem. I was originally found by Claude Ralphs, playing for my school team, Northern Parade. I joined Solent United, which were the main side in Portsmouth then, went and dominated a lot. Then I left Solent to go to Landport 72, which was a mediocre side. Then it's all kicked on from there. It was great. I got transformed from a right winger because, believe it or not, I used to be quite quick one time. And then got put into midfield. And I never looked back since then. Then, obviously, you have the trials like the Portsmouths, the Southamptons. I was fortunate, went to Leicester City as well. And best club I was at was Aldershot. I was at Aldershot when the club went into liquidation. And that was the happiest I've ever been playing youth football. Working under Ian McDonald, who was a great coach at Aldershot. And Brian Talbot was the gaffer at the time as well. So, absolute legend of the game. And I learnt a lot there. And I was absolutely devastated when the club went into liquidation.
I remember that time. So I think Bognor played them as they climbed back up through the leagues. I think you were playing for Bognor that time. But I remember them having to sort of work their way up through the leagues again. Obviously now they're league football again. But they've always been a big club, haven't they, Aldershot?
Oh, massive. And obviously, don't get me wrong, it's very army orientated around Aldershot Way and Camberley. So, yeah, but no, listen, I've got so many great memories of being at Aldershot. I was playing in the youth team regularly at the age of 14. I was training with the first team when I was 15, 16 as well. But listen, these things happen. Like Jamie Howell said in his podcast, which was a great point of view. If he only waited 2 days, Arsene Wenger might have liked him, and we might not have known Jamie Howells. Yeah. I just wish that someone could have come in and bailed out Aldershot, because who knows what could have happened then.
Do you think you would have stayed on with Aldershot if they'd have been taken over?
Yeah, definitely. I was an apprentice then. Corp, that was scary. It was £118 a month, that was back then. It was scary. But I would have stayed there. I loved the club. Absolutely loved the club. And Ian McDonald, I can't speak highly enough of the man as a youth team coach. He was an absolute phenomenal man. And Brian Talbot, even though I only worked with him for a couple of months, was a very, very good manager as well. He had a lot of time for the younger players, and he'd be the first person to greet you every day. He'd know all your names within the first couple of hours, and he was fantastic.
That's brilliant. And you say you were playing as a winger. Then did you enjoy that role? And Did you then obviously transitioned into being a midfielder? But what would you say would you prefer? Was it the midfield role or was it the winger role?
Oh, midfield all day. Midfield all day. Being wide right, sometimes you're having to wait for the ball to get to you and everything. It doesn't matter which sort of movement you do, but being involved in the middle of the park, it's great. You're involved every few seconds, whether it's a second ball battle, get on the ball, you're looking to switch play, a little bit of rotation. There's far more creativity in the middle of the park, and I really enjoyed it in there.
I really felt you really enjoyed tackling as well. That was another thing that I thought you sort of broke up play a lot, and I think that was one of the other strengths you had in the middle of the park, is to break up play and get the ball back for the team.
Yeah, listen, when you play alongside of great players like Jamie Howe, who's one of the best second ball players I've played with, and Paul Thomas was excellent at it, and you just pick up bits and bobs, and you think, well, hang on a minute, how can I improve my game? And when you play with two of those great players, and if you don't learn off of them in how to break the play up and read the game correctly and organise people in front of you, then you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. I was very, very fortunate to play alongside, like I say, Tomo and Owler, and they were both phenomenal at that job.
Yeah, I remember both of them sort of being either side of you, and you were sort of the heart of the midfield, and then they had either that, or you switched it up. Jamie might go more defensive, with Paul a bit more in an attacking role, but it seemed to work really well, like a diamond sort of formation in the middle of the park, and I think that really worked well. You had a good partnership.
Yeah, we did, and also you had Guy Rutherford as well, and he was an outstanding player. Guy come to us at the age of 28, so he was just in his prime, and I think Guy finished playing for us when he was 42 years of age, and what a player he was. He was unbelievable, and we did have a diamond in there, and the diamond seemed to work for us very, very well. We all liked to get on the ball. We was all quite aggressive as well, and we had a little bit of creativity in there. So, yeah, the diamond did suit us for a while. It was a great formation, and we outnumbered teams in the middle of the park. And the way Bognor play, which is always a possession game, outnumbering the opposition worked wonders. We always seemed to have that extra man in the middle of the park. If they did tuck someone in narrow from wide, then we'd expose them down the flanks with the overlap, trying to get in a 2v1 overlap in a wide area.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, Birmy, and I can easily say, and I think a lot of the fans would agree with me, is that you're one of the greatest and most passionate players in the Rock shirt. Where did that motivation and passion come from?
Because I cared about the club. I cared about the fans. They travel a long way to watch you for 40 weeks a year. And a lot of people don't understand that they're a massive part of the club. And you might have a bad game, and I've had many a bad game. But I don't think there's any excuse for lack of effort, lack of desire, lack of heart. And I think certain players, it breaks my heart to see that. It really does. Like, you see players now, they can go through the motions on the football pitch and not care about that. Destroys me. Absolutely destroys me. If these fans have been travelling 2.5 hours on a Saturday, they expect to see blood, tears, whilst you're representing that shirt, whilst you're representing that badge. And trust me, I've had many a bad game. But one thing I did want to do was make sure the fans went home. Whether they spoke about me in the right way or the wrong way, that's irrespective at the moment. It's a matter of, look, I'm wearing your shirt. I'm going to do the best I can whilst representing your football club.
No, and I think that's a value that a lot of players in the modern game. There's an argument, obviously, at the moment, whether teams or certain individuals generally lack passion on the pitch in the modern game. For me, sometimes money has spoilt the game, even at our level, and perhaps there are some players that don't want to play for the shirt, and it seems to me to be more prevalent now more than ever.
Yeah, but also I don't think the new rules and guidelines have helped. It's like tackling's null and void now. And if you do show any emotion, any passion on the football pitch, one, you either get sin binned at our level, which is an absolute ludicrous rule, or two, you get booked because you've looked at the referee in the wrong way and you've maybe blinked a little bit aggressively. I think the cards are getting handed out now like you're working in Clinton's. They're far too easy. I don't think I'd last 2 minutes in the game now with a tackle or anything.
They say it's a contact sport, but you often argue at the times now it's not really a contact sport.
No, it's not. It's not. I just think, the hierarchy have maybe tried to kill the game. I did say when the academies come into play with all the professional clubs, I said straight away the academies will kill grassroots football. I firmly believe it has. The academies is all about possession, being patient, waiting for that moment. Hey, a lot of these non-league players, like I was an odd carrier. They were bricklayers, they were roofers. What they wanted to do was get on the football pitch and have a good old tackle and have a good scrap with someone. And at the end of it, you have a beer, you shake hands, that's it, done. Now, what were they interested in? Jumping in their Range Rover and going home? And I don't know, a lot of them are looking good on Instagram and they got their six-pack with their Herbalife. And I just think the image has gone all wrong now. I think grassroots football, non-league football especially, it's been destroyed by academies. How many academy players do you see dropping out the pro game and stepping into non-league football? I don't see any now.
No. Do you think they get the shock of their life when they jump up from academy football to men's football? That's when they get the shock. They either sink or swim, isn't it now?
Listen, it's a huge step up. It's a huge step up. I was fortunate. When I was at Portsmouth as a pro, I was on loan to Dorchester Town. Stuart Morgan, one of Harry Redknapp's good friends, was in charge. And I learnt more in that 6 months loan period playing Beezer Home's Southern Premier League in men's football than what I had done playing youth team football or reserve team football. I've never been kicked so hard in my life. And that as an 18, 19-year-old kid, you've got to learn to adapt your game. You've got to see pictures a lot quicker, because if you don't, you're going to have someone who's going to come around, had a bad week at work, and is going to snap you in half.
With that being said, Bermy, at that time, did you have to really bulk yourself up and get yourself in tip-top condition, or was it a battle of just avoiding the harsh tackles?
I've never been to a gym in my life. I don't agree with them. Obviously, I know my brother's big on his strength and conditioning, and fair play to him. But I used to do a lot of hill running and road running to get basically the power.
Yeah,
I used to do that a lot. And yes, it was a matter of, listen, if you can move quicker than them and you can see pictures quicker than them, to me, you've got less chance of getting kicked and up.
Yeah, if you can run away from them and got the speed and power, then they're not going to catch you anyway. But
yeah,
that's interesting, Bermy. What's the story behind you signing for Bognor all those years ago as a player, and what year was that? So I can't seem to find it online.
That's how long ago it was. I don't think online was even invented then. It was 1994-95. I just got released by Portsmouth Football Club and I agreed to sign for Dorchester Town. But Neil Hyder picked me up and I went for a chat with Jack Pearce. And I've got to admit, I pulled up into the football club in the car park. So I've come all the way up Norwood Lane, having a good chat with Neil. And I've just seen this really eccentric person dressed in all white, chasing seagulls and pigeons off his football pitch. And I mean chasing them. And I'm thinking, my good God, what is this? And sat down with him, but I'd already committed to Dorchester. I'd already said, no, listen, I've given my word. It was the time of the rail strikes, and I was 19, I couldn't drive. So I phoned up Jack, I think it was 48 hours later. I can't make Dorchester. They've agreed to rip up my contract, let me go. And from then on, I've never looked back. So it's amazing that a railway strike, I couldn't commute, probably made me more happiest in my football career.
So it worked out for the better for you, really, when you look back?
Oh, massively. Yeah, 100%.
I'm interested to know what your first match you played in for Bognor was, as I became a Bognor fan long after you had started. Can you remember it and describe your feelings going into that game?
I can. It was a pre-season friendly, and it was against Southampton Reserves, and we beat them 2-1. It was on a Tuesday night at Norwood Lane. We beat them 2-1, and from the way the pitch was, the crowd, and the way Bognor played football, I fell in love with the place straight there. It was great, and like I say, mate, to be surrounded by players that want to pass the ball on that carpet with a crowd under the lights of Norwood Lane, it still gives me goosebumps now. There's no better occasion than playing under the lights at Norwood Lane with the crowd right behind you. Yeah,
the fans love it. I think particularly in the night games when the floodlights are on and the it just builds the atmosphere, doesn't it, on the pitch? And I'm sure the players do hear the fans when they're on the pitch.
Oh, we do, especially the derby games against Worthing. Those are special moments, those ones.
Did you ever get nervous before kick-off, and did you see yourself as a leader even as a youngster with the side in the early days?
I've always been quite chirpy, believe it or not. So, yeah, it gave me great honour to wear the armband. Great honour. And to lead the team out was absolutely fantastic. And I've got great memories of those. Getting nervous before games, probably, yes, I would get some sort of nerves, but not a worrying nerves. It would be nerves of making sure that we were prepared, because I still firmly believe Bognor are the best footballing side around, and I still speak to players now. They always say about these clubs, this, that and the other, and I always say to them, there's a club 26 miles up the road that is the best club in the local area by a mile, and for their education, their guidance, and that is Bognor. And when I represented Bognor and captain Bognor, there was always an element of doubt about, am I gonna perform today? Am I going to give my best? Are the fans going to walk away happy knowing that I've given my best? So, nerve-wise, as in ability-wise, no. Nerves-wise, as in I've got to let 300 to 600 people, not let them down. Yes, yeah, there was an element of nerves in that sort of area.
So you felt the pressure when you were captain, particularly?
Not pressure, because I loved it, but I found the responsibility a little bit, because it wasn't just my job. I had to make sure that I was the manager on the pitch. And sometimes it's hard, because if you're having a bad game, you have to try, and if someone's not doing something, you have to try and ignore what you're doing and bark out orders to make sure that player's doing his job. And that's one thing I learned very early, that you've got to grow a thick skin, because if you ever go at someone, they're not doing their job, and they turn around and go, well, you're having a bad game. Yeah, you're right. You're right, I am having a bad game. But I'm trying to make sure your game isn't as bad as mine.
And obviously you felt like you had something to give, and you were obviously at that early stage even. How old were you at that stage?
At the age of, what, 1994, 95?
Yeah, how old were you then?
I was 19.
19, so yeah, still very, very young in your career, but you already knew that you had a role to play in the middle there, and you wanted to, tell players where they, when they're not doing the right thing, to buck their ideas up, basically.
Yeah, that was it. And when you look at the big characters I had around me, it was a little bit intimidating at first as a 19-year-old kid. But then if I wanted to do something in life, I'm not going to be in someone's shadows. And sometimes I'll probably roll people up the wrong way. Do I regret it? No, I don't, because I had a job to do. And the most important thing was to get 3 points for Bognor Regis Town Football Club. And if I offended someone on the pitch for 90 minutes, I offended someone on the pitch for 90 minutes. It wasn't personal. Never, ever, ever personal. And I'd always buy them a drink afterwards, and we'd always come to the conclusion I was right.
That's good to know, Bermie. At your peak level, is it true that bigger clubs wanted to snap you up and lure you away from Bognor? What were the teams that you know of that actually expressed an interest? Yes,
Aldershot Town, when Steve Wigley was there, showed a big interest. They come in for me. Hayes, when Hayes was in the conference under Terry Brown, I actually went up to Hayes and had a meeting with Terry Brown and the chairman, and obviously Havant and Waterville. They were there, but I suppose the biggest one was a year after I got released. Portsmouth Football Club come back in for me under Terry Fenwick.
Wow, so some big clubs there. And is this why you never turned pro? And you obviously, do you ever regret not playing at the pro level when you had the chance?
No, because the pre-season game against Portsmouth, when Terry Fenwick was interested, I was woeful. And I didn't deserve to get given the opportunity after my own personal performance. And another thing, to me, you get released as a kid, as a pro footballer, because they don't think you're good enough. I'm not one of these people that will go and buy 92 first-class stamps and post them to every football club in the world asking for a trial. I got released, I think rightly so, because at that moment in time, I was not good enough to be a professional footballer.
No, that's honest there, Bermie. And we're finding the same situation even now. I think Pompey are releasing players, but they're also keeping on academy players, and they often get loaned out to us, and they do a really good job, and then they don't get called up again for Pompey. So I seem to think it's a real problem at the moment.
Yeah, it is. But again, it's like we were saying. I believe the big step up is you've got at Portsmouth now, you've got the academies, you've got the under-23s, then you've got like the reserves or an A side, then you've got the first team. If they're at the academy, loan them out. Loan them out to non-league clubs. They've got to understand it's not all pretty. It's not a big dream where you wake up one morning and you've got £30 million contracts sat in front of you and you've got all these image rights. You have to go and earn your trade. And your trade means going away to Enfield Town on a Tuesday night where the ball don't touch the ground and you get battered. That's your education. Then you go back to your pro club and go, poof, I'll tell you what, this is a big eye-opener. I think a lot more players, if they went to these non-league clubs, their experience would help them a lot greater than what it would be playing in the academy and the under-23s.
Yeah, yeah. All the Rocks fans obviously appreciate you stayed for pretty much the entirety of your playing career. What swayed your decision to stay, and do you feel you made the right decision as you look back on those days?
Oh, I don't look back with any regrets. I really don't, because like I say, if I learnt more dropping out of professional football when I was involved in that from about the age of 12, I learnt more at non-league level than what I had ever learnt at a professional club. So, no, I've got nothing. And like you say, why would I want to leave Bognor? Why? The crowd were amazing. Great rivalry with Worthing. Sammy Donnelly against Jack Pearce. And you had great friendship there. It was, as soon as you walk in the club, it's like a great big extended family. Why would you want to leave that? You've got a carpet you play on week in, week out. You've got the best coaches, the best facilities. No, I don't regret nothing in my life about not leaving Bognor. Not one thing.
Well, Bognor fans would be pleased to hear that, Burmy. How many years was it you were with the club, and can you recount how many matches you played? I can't seem to find an official record.
I think it was 17 years, and give or take a few, I think it was about 700 plus appearances and 97 goals.
Wow. Fantastic. If you had to leave Bognor at any time during your career, and I appreciate you didn't, what team would it have been and why? Would it have been Aldershot?
Yes. Yes, it would have. Yeah.
If there was a team you had to leave for, and the club came in with an unsurmountable amount of money, and they couldn't refuse it, it'd be Aldershot.
It would have been Aldershot, playing in front of about 4,000 to 6,000 fans per week. Yes.
And was that when they were climbing up through the leagues again?
I think it was when in the same league as what Bognor were, which was the original bottom Div 1, and took over then, and of course they got promotion. And then the likes of George Borg and all that come in. But it was more or less under Steve Wigley. It was obviously interesting. I was with Steve when we were both at Pompey together, and he come to Bognor for that one season as well. So I knew Steve ever so well.
No, they've got a massive fan base in Aldershot, and obviously they're doing well now, and all good wishes to them. When not at Horndean in your managerial role, Burmy, lots of fans would like to know what you like to do in your spare time.
I don't get a lot of spare time. I just love being a manager. I love making sure everything's there. I speak to my backroom staff regularly. I'm on the phone to them constantly. Sometimes I'll get moaned at because I'm texting them at 2-3 o'clock in the morning after a Saturday game, asking them how we can improve. There's certain areas I've dwelled on it. What can we do to improve? And my mind's busy planning for the next training session, the next game. What personnel are injured? What can we do to get them in a lot quicker? So I don't really have a lot of spare time, but when I do, it's lovely. I have 5 kids, and I love being with every single one of them. So yeah, it's been with my wife and my family. Really, she's good as gold. She's really calmed me down, Gems. And times I wish I met her a lot earlier, because I could have been a different person.
Oh, that's good to know, Burmy. You're the only player from Bognor I'm actually friends with on Facebook. I appreciate the friendship on social media, by the way. But I've always felt I should keep my distance as a fan, though I do follow most players on Twitter. But do you think it's easier for fans to engage with players nowadays with the growth of online communication? Has it changed your approach to the game in any way?
No, it hasn't. I just think I firmly believe the players should go in and speak to the fans after every game, win, lose, or draw anyway. Because, like I said to you, mate, they travel along a lot of miles. And one thing I abide as a player is people who will not go and speak to the fans in the clubhouse. Hey, these players love to go in there when they've had a good win, they've got a man and match bottle of bubbly walking in, but you often find that if they've had a bad game and they've had a bit of a drubbing, they're not so quick to walk in the clubhouse then and face what's really known as the facts by the true fans. If you love a pat on the back, you've got to be accepted to take the criticism as well.
Yeah, and I was speaking to Tommy McMillan, and he said he often goes into the bar after the game and chats to the players, and he'll tell them outright if they've had a poor game, and they might not agree with him, but that's part and parcel of the non-league game, of course.
Yeah, that's what's so great about the non-league game. You should be interacting with the fans. Like I say, it takes an hour to go in the clubhouse, have a couple of beers or a couple of Lucozades, whatever they drink now, and that's it done. At Horndine, I make sure every single one of my players will, when they turn up for match day duty, they will shake everyone's hands, the players' hands, my hands, the backroom staff's hands, all the committee members' hands, and before they leave, they will do exactly the same again. Because these committee members and these volunteers are what makes the clubs like ours survive and run. And I did not appreciate how much hard work goes into it behind the scenes until I stepped across the white line and come into coaching and management.
Yeah, and in your long career, Bermie, you've come up against and played with some top players. In your opinion, who is the best player you've played with and against in your career, and why?
Cool, there's been a few of them, isn't there? The best player I played against was a lad called Eunice, and I'm friends with him on Facebook. We played Chesham in the FA Trophy. I played right back. They were top of the Ryman Premier back then. He was a left winger who had a good career at Boreham Wood and Yedding and that. And within 20 minutes, they were 3-0 up, and he has tortured me for 20 minutes. And I mean, tortured me. He's created all 3 of their goals. So the next one, I've gone to Jamie Howe. Roll me the ball. I'm going to do him. I'm going to put him over the barrier. And then I'm going to see how he comes back. So the ball's been rolled short, and I've hit Eunice really hard and probably a little bit late and naughty as well. And he's actually gone over the advertising borders at Bognor, and he's landed the other side in the fans. And I thought, brilliant, there you go, his game's over. Next thing, 5 minutes later, the physio's waved across to the ref. He wants to come back on. Tortured me again, set up the 4th goal. In the end, to keep me on the pitch, I had to be moved to centre half. So Eunice is by far the best player I've played against. Best player I've played with, Guy Rutherford.
Yeah, he was a multi. He could play in multiple positions, a bit like Crane here today, isn't he?
Yeah, he had everything, Guy. He could score goals. He could play football. He could be horrible as well. He could defend. He's such an intelligent player. And like I say, to play at the age of 42 is phenomenal. And I think I can count on one hand in all my time I've played with Guy that he's maybe had a bad game.
Wow, so consistent. A personal highlight for me following the Rocks was when I was mascot and they dumped me in your care leading up to kick-off, Bermie. Those were the days when mascot used to go to the dressing room before kick-off and rush onto the field of play, leading the team with a football. There was no need for lining up and shaking hands. Boys are back in town by Thin Lizzy, I remember blaring out at the tannoy speakers. I always remember you were really kind to me and really looked after me, and I think positive experiences like that is what made me want to come back to the lane to support the team. Talking of personal highlights, could you describe your most memorable moment in your playing career with the Rocks? You can pick more than one if you can't narrow it down.
I've probably got a handful. Obviously, the FA Cup run in 1995-96. The best moment of that one, yes, I scored the equaliser at home against Ashford Town in the first round proper when we were still lucky to be involved in the game, actually, because we were quite poor and Ashford done a good job on us. And I think I equalised with about 10 minutes to go. But the highlight for that one was Tiverton away. They have not been beat at home for about 18 months. Neil Hyder went and watched them the week before we were due to play them. And he said, I fancy it's rotten. And a week before, actually, I scored a hat-trick against Weston-super-Mare in the FA Trophy. We beat them 6-2. And we were very, very sure that we were going to win. In actual fact, on the Thursday night before the game on Saturday, Neil Hyder had to stop the training after 30 minutes because we were kicking lumps out of each other. We were that up for it. We went there and we absolutely blew them apart. Blew them apart. We won the game 4-1. 80 Miles got a hat-trick. Mark Royce also scored. We played in front of 1,800 fans. And that, to me, is still the best moment. We've gone on someone else's patches, dominated them, murdered them, took over the clubhouse. Graham Bradford was singing and dancing in the clubhouse whilst eating all the sandwiches. And those were the best moments. Those were the best moments then. I've also got Leatherheads at home my last season when we beat them 3-2. Ben Johnson scored the winner when he's checked back, and I think he's crossed it and it's gone off the far post. Stood there in the tunnel before the game, and we got beat 3-2 by them at their place, and I got stretched off with a back injury. And they were starting to rib me a little bit like, they must be desperate. The old man's come out of retirement again. So to beat them 3-2 and stood there in the tunnel and stand there, basically eyeball to eyeball, yeah, they were great moments. And again, that was under lights at Norwood Lane. And I think, again, I hit someone in a tackle where I did get warned by Jack Pearce, one more booking, you're suspended. Don't worry about it, Jack. I've got it under control. 7 minutes later, I got the booking, but I still think that booking played a big part in us winning the game because I set the tempo in the first 7 minutes when I had a 50-50, and it meant more to me than what it did him. And those are great moments, without a doubt. Loved them. I wish I could relive them now.
Yeah, definitely. And it's those moments that obviously define you as a player, and obviously Bognor fans appreciate all your efforts over the years. And when you look back, Burmy, when you first started playing football, who would you say is the players that you looked up to as a child, and who would you consider as your favourite player to watch growing up?
I'm a big Chelsea fan. So obviously, number one priority to me is Chelsea. I loved watching Pat Nevin, David Speedy, Kerry Dixon growing up, all the sort of flair players. But then obviously when the Premiership and that started, you've got to be looking at Brian Robson at the end of his days, still doing fantastic things at Man U, which made me start to respect the game a little bit differently when you look at the likes of Brian Robson, what he achieved. So I would have to say, as a kid growing up, as much as it breaks my heart, I'm a Chelsea fan, I would have to say Brian Robson.
Yeah, top player. What would you say is your biggest achievement so far in your playing career, obviously, and then also as a manager to date?
Best achievement so far, I've got two. It was the year Jack Pearce fell ill and myself and Dabba took over at Conference South. The best one was we beat St Albans at home 1-0. Seb Wallace-Taylor scored the winning goal in about the 93rd minute, so we knew
that
there was no time for them to equalise. And we were down there with St Albans, and I do believe St Albans had about a 9-game run where they didn't lose. Then they come down to Norwood Lane, and for us to get that result, that was when we really, me and Dabba, looked at each other and gone, we're staying up. We're staying up this year. We've got it. So to me, when we took over, me and Dabs, we had played 13 games. We was on 8 points. And I remember Newport County away was our first game in charge. And we lost there 2-0. And yet, in the end, we finished 4th from bottom, 8 points clear. That to me was an unbelievable achievement. The players had to buy into it. The players were absolutely magnificent that year for me and Dabba. And that still, to me now, is the best moment of my managerial career so far.
Oh, that's brilliant, Burmy. My favourite goal of yours, I always remember, was the goal in 2009 at home to Hornchurch with the free kick, smashing it high into the top right corner. It's on YouTube for those that want to check it out. Do you remember that? And what were your memories, and what would you consider as your favourite Bognor goal over the years?
I do remember that because that was our first league win that season. We beat Hornchurch 4-2 at home. I remember that ever so well. That was when my legs were starting to go, and I was finding it very, very tough mentally to understand what I couldn't do anymore. I'd always been about covering as much grass as possible and being box to box. Then all of a sudden my brain tells me I can do it, but my body's going, shouldn't think so, can't do that no more. And I was struggling. I was struggling to adapt to that. And it was that season that with Dabba and with Owler that I had to really, really change my game, because I knew if I wanted to be involved at Bognor anymore, my legs had gone and I had to start using the experience that I had gained. But going back to that Hornchurch goal, I enjoyed taking free kicks. I did enjoy it. I was okay. I wasn't great. There was a few of them that no doubt hit the people playing tennis on the tennis courts beyond the social bar. But to me, my best goal was a free kick against Worthing. We won Easter at Norwood Lane 1-0. Guy Rutherford's rolled it to me. I was about 25 yards out, indirect. I've caught it sweet as you like. It was one of them, you don't even know you've made contact with the ball. Next time I've looked, it's actually stuck in the far top corner of the stanchion. That was my best goal. And against Worthing, the local rivals as well. Mate, all my Christmases rolled in one. Great. And boy, didn't I celebrate. I went straight into the crowd that day.
Does it feel even better when it's against a local rival like Worthing?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. I used to love those games. I'm not even a Sussex boy. I couldn't stand them. I did not like the way they tried to impose themselves on what I class as being the best team in Sussex, and that was us. I didn't like it. They played totally different. Sammy Donnelly used to lump the ball from front to back. Very effective for them. I just couldn't see why you'd want to do it for 90 minutes. I really couldn't. But scoring goals against Worthing, yeah, without a doubt, it was sweeter. It was sweeter, and I knew the fans loved it even more, and we could celebrate a lot better. There was a lot more passion in the celebration if you scored against Worthing.
Yeah, I just remember whenever I look back at the years with Bognor, obviously I pick out the key matches, but a lot of them are with Worthing, and it's because of the atmosphere, it's because of the passion from both sides, and two completely different styles of football as well. Bognor playing passing football, and Worthing were very good at playing the long ball and rushing onto it, and it was effective for them. And when it came to Bognor versus Worthing, I felt over the years I've followed Bognor have been the better and getting the better wins out of the two.
Yeah, we did. When I first went there, Worthing were flying. They had the likes of Darren Robson, Spencer Mintram. Those boys are good friends with as well. They were a very aggressive side, Worthing. They had a pitch that really suited their style of play. It was like a mud bath of... Yeah. I don't think I've ever played at Worthing where there's been any grass on the pitch, if I'm being honest. But look, Worthing fans loved it. I love to play the villain to the Worthing fans as well. It meant a lot to me. Those games really did mean a lot to me. And I'll be more pumped. I still get pumped now when I know Bognor's playing Worthing at the weekend. I will drop messages to Jack Pearce, to Robbie Blake, to the players that I still keep in touch with. Just drop a message like, hey, these games mean the world to the fans. Don't let the fans down. They can handle. If you got relegated but done a double over Worthing, they'd forgive you.
Yeah, definitely. Can we talk about when you decided to retire, Birmingham? What year was this? In my view, you still had something to give to the team in terms of leadership. I understood that the style you played with the tackling and running must have taken its toll. What made you decide to retire after a sterling career spanning many years, sticking with Bognor throughout?
I should have retired after the Chatham game. My mind was made up. Part of me died that day when we didn't win the league. Part of me still left up there. That day, I should have retired. I wanted to give it another go. I gave it another go for all the wrong reasons. I gave it another go because Jamie Howe spoke to me and Dabba spoke to me and said, look, you can't go out like that. But that was the day I should have called it a day. Michael Birmingham should have retired there and then. But obviously coming back the very next season, I knew we signed Kane Wills my last year to take my place. Jamie Howe was very honest about that. He done the most respectful thing, as Jamie does all the time. He phoned me up to say, look, I'm signing Kane Wills. He's coming in to replace you. When he replaces you, I don't know. And my words to him was, well, he's going to have to play well, because I feel as though I'm having one of my best seasons of my life at the age of 35. So that didn't happen. The next year I turned up. My heart wasn't in it. I went through the motions at pre-season. I used to be one of the fittest. I used to be up the front, but I don't know. There was something not right with Michael Birmingham that year. There was something not right, and I don't think I recovered from that last game of the season at Chatham. And so we played the first game against Chipstead. I come off injured. I was quite poor that game as well. Come off injured with an injury, and then I was available for Croydon Athletic away, to which I was on the bench. Kane Wills started, and then Jamie gave me the phone call on the Friday before we played Hive away on a Saturday, which would have been the third league game. And bearing in mind, me and Jamie's good friends, and we played a long time together. Gave me a phone call. It started off with, look, you're not going to be starting tomorrow. And after about 15, 20 minutes heart to heart, he said to me, Kane Wills is going to be my number one player over you. And I don't want to insult you by leaving you on the bench. You've been a good servant. I think you need to call it a day. And I agreed 100% with him.
Yeah, you'd rather go out on your own terms rather than, being pushed out by. What do you think on Kane Wills? He's obviously a good player, and he's obviously doing really well now. But what are your thoughts on Kane Wills? Good.
I'm glad he's done it. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't like to hear the word used. When people say, "Oh, he used to be a good player," that's when times have got to go. That's it. Then you're done. And Kane Wills, I knew he was after my shirt, 100%, and I've done everything I could to help Kane as well. And Kane's been very, very kind in a lot of comments that he's learnt a lot off of me. And apparently I'm the best captain he's played under. So I know I've done a job. It's football. It's not personal. It's football. My legs are going. Kane Wills has come in, and what a career he's had, by the way. Oh, brilliant. What a player. And he's done ever so well. So to me, I left the shirt behind. Kane Wills took the shirt. Kane Wills, I believe, took the shirt on another area as well, another demeanour. And obviously the club got promotion the next year. Kane Wills has worn the captain's armband as well, and I still keep in touch with Kane and his dad now, and I have nothing but high regards for the player, and he is one hell of a player, and I wish Kane all the very, very best. Do I have any bitter moments about Kane Wills taking my shirt? No. Like I say, it's football, it's life, and the football club goes on. Michael Bowen's been retired for 10 years. Bognor Regis Town have continued to grow and move on.
Yeah, no, totally agree with that, Birmingham. And obviously, your number 8 was obviously your shirt, and obviously always be remembered as your number. Do you miss your playing days, and do you feel the urge to put the boots on even now?
I don't. I've had so many injuries and so many injections. My knees and ankles are shot to bits at the moment. There's no way in the world I could even attempt to do anything. Do I wish I could go back? Yeah, of course I wish. I wish I could have one more 90 minutes wearing that green and white shirt. One more 90 minutes in that change room. One more 90 minutes against Worthing where you win. And one more 90 minutes celebrating with a crowd. Yeah. I'd love to be able to relive that again. Unfortunately, I've got it in my memories. Could I do it again? No. My body's in tatters. I've got no chance.
That's fair enough, Birmingham. And you have been a part of some great charity matches since, and I know you always are happy to get involved with those. You've played against celebrities and football legends of the past in these matches. Any funny stories from those games that you would like to share?
Well, I'll be honest with you. We played, I can't remember, I think I played for Jamie Bain's Bognor Sunday side. It was against something like Heart FM. I'm sure it was Heart FM.
Can't find anyone. Right.
And Luther Blissett played. And my eldest boy come on the pitch, Lewis. I think Lewis was 15, 16 then. So to actually come on the pitch and see my eldest play and go into a 50-50 tackle with Luther Blissett, because Luther Blissett was getting the up with my eldest boy, Lewis, because Lewis was having a good game and he was a good player. And to actually see that was quite funny. That was quite amusing, seeing a 16-year-old kid running around the next AC Milan and England International for fun. So, yeah, that was quite good. A proud moment. That was a very proud moment for me to share a picture of my eldest boy.
That's great, Birmingham. And I always remember players like Dean Wilkins, 80 Miles, and others that you were with. Just how good were those teams in the 90s and early 2000s?
Oh, unbelievable. Dean Wilkins, the wand. Unbelievable left foot. He was brilliant. I learned so much off of Dino. Really did. The way he conducted himself on the football pitch. Probably didn't learn as much as what I should have because I didn't really conduct myself as well as Dean. But yeah, he was great. He was a true gentleman as well. In the change room, he'd always have time for you. Great one-liners. Great one-liners. Very dry character, Dean Wilkins, and very funny.
Yeah, whenever we watched it, I know he wasn't with us for that long, but when he did play, you knew we had a chance because when Dino got on the ball, we had opportunities, and I always look back at him as one of my favourite players. You basically spanned 2 to 3 generations of players at Bognor Burmy with your time, unheard of these days. Would you agree that loyalty to clubs is a thing of the past, or are there exceptions?
No, I don't think there is any loyalty nowadays. I really don't, and it's a hard thing to say. People now, even at our level, you often find someone offers you £1 a week more, they jump ship. No, there is no loyalty in football now. No, not a chance. They're signed for you. They kiss your badge. Someone puts in a 7-day approach, offers them £1 more. They're out there next week kissing another badge. No. I don't agree with that. No, their loyalty's gone. It's finished.
Yeah. I do think that it's been a bit of a problem as the years have gone by. What would you say was your best era at Bognor and the best team you were a part of with the Green Army? There's many, of course, many players over the years, but
yeah, but the best team was very difficult. I've got to actually say, with all the promotions and everything we had, I still think the best team we had was in the FA Cup run in 1995-96 with the likes of Graham Mariners, the Pullen twins, Darren Pearce, Mark Rice, very, very good players. And I still remember, if it wasn't for Mick Pullen away to Ashford in the 85th minute, we're 1-0 up in the FA Cup, their centre forward, I can't remember his name, has gone clean through, and Mick Pullen has made, still without doubt, possibly the best tackle I've ever seen on a football pitch to make sure we kept a clean sheet and got through to the FA Cup second round. And I think the Pullens, because they were there a long time, I don't think people appreciated them as much. They were 2 fantastic players alongside Graham Mariner as well. And I learned so much playing in front of all 3 of them.
Oh, that's brilliant to hear, Burmy. And I know the Pullen brothers and Graham Mariner are 2 sets of legends really at the club. You're obviously really busy with running the show at Horndean. Do you have enough time to follow any other sports? If so, what are your favourite sports and why, other than football, of course?
Love golf. Absolutely love golf. I wish I was good at golf, but unfortunately when I play it ruins my walk. But I do love it. I love the Ryder Cup. Oh, brilliant. Just purely and simply because it's all about passion again. I just love the Ryder Cup. I love golf. I wish I could get out and play golf a lot more. And it's a great sport. How people play it is beyond me. They make it look so easy.
No, it's a lot of very, very popular these days, golf. I see that your brother and also fellow Rocks legend David Birmingham is a competitive boxer nowadays. How is that going for him? And do you get to see him fight often?
He's just retired. Retired. Just turned 39 years of age. Still fit as a fiddle. He's joined my backroom staff as my strength and conditioning coach now. He's big into that. He's going for his qualifications and his badges to get all that sorted. I've had the pleasure of watching Dave a few times fight. And yeah, I always said he picked the wrong sport. He done boxing at the age of 11. And he definitely picked the wrong sport because, let's be honest, yeah, he's my brother. I love him to pieces. If he didn't have a left foot, he would never have played. He had a decent left foot and he could tackle. And he got through to the All England semi-final at the age of 11, 12. And I think he'd turn around and say he definitely picked the wrong sport. But I don't get it. I really don't get it. You want to go in the ring, there's a good chance, even if you win, you're going to get hit and get hurt. It don't make no sense to me.
So you'd say that his left foot and his tackling ability was one of his greatest abilities on the pitch as a footballer, and what was his best punching moves or manoeuvres in boxing?
Dave, he would have a fight with anyone on the football pitch, Dave. He loved to tackle. He loved everything, all the dirty parts of the game. He was very, very good at. And I think in the boxing ring he's exactly the same, because I've watched him so many times go and hunt people in the boxing ring. Even though he was 37, 38, he was one of the fittest people I've ever seen and ever witnessed. And how much dedication you got to be a boxer is unbelievable. But again, in the ring it suited him. The same as on the football pitch. He'd stand toe to toe and go with anyone in the ring, and on the football pitch. And that sums up Dave. That he don't back down for nothing. And he's my brother. I'm proud to call him my brother. And he's had an outstanding career at being a professional footballer and a professional boxer. And like I say, I'm proud of him. He's done phenomenally well.
It's good to hear, Bermie. And did you say he's doing his coaching badges now, you say?
He is in his boxing, yes. He's just getting fitness and his nutrition badges and everything like that. And I think he's just started up his own fitness school. So, yeah, he's doing ever so well for himself. And he's got to do this as well, because I think coming out of football and boxing, it's going to be tough for him. So I'm glad he's chose to go down this route to keep him occupied and keep him busy. And again, he's got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge in both games. So he should be passing that on to others and helping others as well.
Yeah, I always remember him representing Pompey, and I think he got man of the match at Ipswich Town once. I think they'd won 1-0. I always remember that. He was outstanding that day. Who was the biggest joker in the dressing room when you were playing for Bognor, Bermie, in your days?
Cool, where'd you begin? There was loads of pranks that was going on in the dressing room. Owler could have a bit. Guy Rutherford could have a bit. Colin Unwit could have a bit. Yeah, it was a team for the characters. I don't think I can pick not just one joker. I really can't. It was just a team for the characters, and it was great to share the changing room with them. And some of our best memories on a training Tuesday, Thursday, and on games on a Saturday are involved in the changing room. It'd be murder, absolute murder. There'd be DP being put in, socks being cut, boxers being cut, shampoo being replaced with something else. Right. It's great, and it's something I do miss. I do miss the changing room, hence the reason I went into coaching and management, so I could still be part of the changing room. Yeah.
I see you still have banter with a lot of the players on your Facebook page. Do you think it's important to stay in touch with a lot of your past Rocks teammates?
Yeah, 100%. I've built up some good friendship with these people. And yeah, it should be. And when we look at the current climate now, it really opens my eyes and makes me think, do you know what? We haven't really spent enough time with each other. And that's one thing I spoke to Owler about, and Kev Murphy just said, look, when this clears and we get the all clear, we've got to start meeting up more, maybe once a month, maybe once every couple of months. All the ex-Bognor players, just go and find a pub or go up to Bognor and sit down and just tell some old stories. And I think that's one positive that is going to come out of this pandemic, is we're going to look at life a lot differently. I know for a fact I certainly will, without a doubt. And yes, it'd be great to meet up with the old people and some of the stories and that. It would be a good day. Be a very, very good day.
Yeah, I need to make that happen, Bermie. What do you love most about our football club at Bognor Regis Town?
It's basically my second family. It really is. I've got my wife, I've got my kids, and the likes of yourselves, Sarah Warwick, Jack Pearce, Mo Warner. The list can go on and on and on. It's my second family, and I still love going up there when I could. It's nice to meet the old faces, tell stories, have a chat, have a cuddle, everything like that. And yeah, it's such a friendly club. It's so friendly. I could take my kids up there without their mum being there, and I know for a fact they're looked after. And like I say, I can't speak highly enough about the club and all the people involved in it, behind the scenes, and all the fans as well. They're tremendous. Been the happiest days.
That's good to hear, Bermie. And I know a lot of the fans, including myself, miss you down at the lane. What do you miss most about BRTFC? Is it those things that you've just said, or anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, I just miss being part of the club. I really do. Really do. It was a big part of my life for 17 years. And it was hard to take. It was hard to take. And there was a time I couldn't even bring myself to go up there because I didn't know if I'd well up or not. And yeah, no, I do miss it. I do miss everything about the club. I really do. Just crossing that white line, putting that shirt on and feeling proud to wear that shirt. that's a big mess.
Yeah. I had to ask this. What's your relationship like now with Rock's manager and Mr. Bogner, obviously, Jack Pearce? Do you stay in touch? You have always given him high praise in the past. He's clearly got a great mind for the game, and lots of people respect or know him.
I speak to Jack twice a week, still keep in touch with him. And I'll be honest with you, I've learned more under Jack Pearce in non-league football than what I did in pro football. And that's the highest attribute I can pay to the man. He's like a father to me. He's helped me out in some tough times, and I've had some tough times, the same as everyone else. But he's always been there. And when I took the manager's job at Horndean, gave me one bit of advice. Just said, make sure the players enjoy it. That's all you got to do. Make sure the players enjoy it. And it was hard to take at first, because then I dropped down from step 2, step 3 down to step 5, and it was hard. I was starting to be like how I was at Bognor, where it's very well run, but you've got to remember these players aren't used to that, so you've got to tone yourself down a little bit as well, and you've got to make sure your coaching and the advice you give them is as simple as it possibly can be for them to understand it and also take it on board. And I feel as though we've managed to do that ever so well at Horndean, and I think our performances and where we have finished in the league is really taken on board the advice we've given them. But I know for a fact, if I had a problem or wanted a bit of advice, I could pick up the phone to one man, and if he didn't answer it because he's trying to run the world with the FA board, he'd phone me straight back.
Yeah, that's good to know that you stay in touch. Would you say that Jack was a big influence on you as a player and now as a manager?
Yeah, Jack Pearce is one of the main reasons why I never left the club.
Oh, that's brilliant. Jack divides opinion and has been a mainstay at the club, and you can't fault his passion. Was Jack's passion and hard-working attitude apparent to you throughout your time with the club?
Yeah, it was, and don't get me wrong, me and Jack's had many a ding-dong in the change room. Two fiery characters that want to win. But, he's taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot. His work ethic, his drive, his passion, his knowledge. It's great. It really is great. And don't get me wrong, I know people that I've heard and I've seen on the Bognor website, people are having a pop at him. And I get why. I do get why. But let's get one thing straight. If it wasn't for Jack Pearce, there wouldn't be a Bognor Regis Town Football Club.
No. I know he's angered fans with comments in recent times, but I really feel Jack wants the best for the team myself. In my opinion, he needs to stick with the club in some capacity. But do you believe he should hand managerial reins to someone like a Robbie Blake and help them that way, instead of holding the pressure of the club on his shoulders?
But that's Jack's baby.
Yeah,
that's Jack's baby. I'll be honest with you, he must be about 152 now, Jack. I think it's a younger man's game. I really do. And I saw Jack, obviously, last pre-season when Bognor come down to Bognor and Bognor come down to Horndean, and he worries me because he's not a spring chicken anymore. And I worry about the health of the man. And if there's one bit I do want, I've always said to him, Jack, please make sure Bognor Regis Town isn't the thing that kills you. He can't do. There comes a time he's got to take a step back. A capacity in the club, 100%. He's got to. Whether it's president of the club, he does his entertainment, walks around with his raffle tickets as he does. He's never afraid to do that. Yes, he's got to be involved in the club somewhere. Do I think he should be manager? I don't think I'm the man to answer that question. That's not down to me. That's down to Jack Pearce himself. And I think that would be wrong for me to answer that yes or no, because he's done a lot for me, and I don't want people to think that he's only saying it because he's done a lot for you. And I don't want to say no because he's been good for me and it looks like I'm stabbing him in the back.
No, that's fair enough, Birmingham. He does divide opinion. I like the man. I think he's great, and I think he should be involved in some way. But I think a lot of the fans think a younger manager coming through, and hopefully, I think he's moulding Robbie Blake into a manager, and hopefully give him the role. But I think he'd be ideal as like a director of football, or whether he wants to be chairman or president. That's yet to be seen. But I like his passion, and I think he should always be involved with the club in some way. But I think I understand the fans' point of view as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, I do. But one thing I will say is Jack's very controversial, without a doubt. And sometimes he says comments I noticed a lot of it. It normally comes after Bogner's had a bit of maybe a bad performance or a defeat. And one thing I do think he's very clever at is he deflects all comments from the team's performance onto him personally. So I think a lot of it is he's very clever. And when he does say comments, I think he's doing that to make sure that the team don't get absolutely battered by the fans, whereas he don't care if he gets battered by the fans. He's protecting his team. So I think people have got to look at that as well. Like, for example, they got beat 3-0 by Worthing early doors last year, and I think Jack Pearce said some stuff about Keaton Woods, and he said some stuff about young Tommy Lee. And I actually phoned up Jack and went, "What have you done?" And he just said how it was. I went, "Okay, that's fair enough." I said, "But bearing in mind, these players haven't mean to do that." And then all of a sudden, if you've noticed, Tommy Lee didn't have a great game that day. Neither did Keaton Woods, because I watched the highlights. Not one of those two got hammered by the crowd. If anything, the crowd went against Jack to praise these two boys up.
Yeah, he seems to take the pressure off the players, doesn't he, with his comments after games?
He does. And it doesn't matter. Jack's got such thick skin. He don't care what people says about him. And rightly or wrongly, I suppose some of the comments he comes out with, I can see why the fans get a little bit infuriated with him. And I understand that. But also, he's not as daft as what people make out.
No.
He will protect his players. He will protect his team more than he will protect anyone. And if he feels as though he's got to take some serious flack, he'll do it. And he'll do it again and again and again.
Yeah. And I think he really does care about his players and his staff. Deep down, I know he's really passionate about the team. I've personally been to the ground at about 11:15 at night, one point, to pick up something, and he was still there in the offices working, and that shows how passionate he is about the club anyway, in the back, behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, he's always there. He was always there. Even when I was a player, I was leaving the ground, and obviously he's big on the FA now. And as we were leaving the ground, maybe about 10:30, 11 o'clock after training, he'd just be pulling up. And we would like, "Jack, what are you doing? It's 11 o'clock at night. I've got a little bit of work to do in the office." And he'd be there till about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
And I think if we didn't have Jack, some things wouldn't have happened.
No, not a chance. And when Jack handed the reins over to myself and Dabba and went out trying to find people that could come in and support the club and make sure the club survived, a lot of people don't know that. He wasn't just doing nothing. He was fighting against a real bad illness, and he was out there making sure Bognor Regis Town could survive, whether he beat this illness or not. That was his main priority. It wasn't him getting better. It was making sure Bognor Regis Town could survive.
Yeah, and I remember that time Dabba was very worried about him, but he was still adamant he wanted to be at the club and wanted to be involved during that time. And hopefully, I think now he's feeling better, and he seems to be, more well at games, and he seems to be there. So it's good to see. It's now time for the quick fire Rocks players round, Burmy. Instead of direct choices between players like we do with fans, I want you to just give me the name of the first Bognor player that springs to mind. Your choice is at the ready, Burmy. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Best dressed.
Guy Rutherford. Anything Armani or Boss, he's got a whole wardrobe of it.
Most serious.
Cool. That's a hard one. Most serious, because I don't really think we played with many serious characters. Jamie Howe.
Okay. Biggest appetite.
Ha! Me.
Best athlete.
Paul Thomas.
Most scruffy.
Richard Hudson by a mile.
Best friend in the dressing room.
Jamie Howe.
Most reliable.
Darren Kilpatrick.
Yeah. Most skillful.
Richard Hudson.
Best crosser.
Richard Hudson.
Best passer.
Dean Wilkins.
Best hairdo.
Best hairdo. It's got to be Dabber, innit? He's still got a full head of hair for 48 years of age.
Best beard?
I don't think any of us are old enough to grow a beard.
Can't think of anybody on that one?
No, I don't think I've played with anyone who had a beard at Bognor.
Okay.
I'll go Stuart Axton. He thought he was old enough to have a beard.
Bit of a goatee going there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Best attitude?
Everyone.
Biggest bookworm?
80 miles.
Most nervous before a game?
Jamie Howe.
Best striker?
Luke Nightingale.
Best midfielder?
Guy Rutherford.
Best defender?
Stuart Axton.
Best goalkeeper?
Colin Matthews.
Very good. Best coach?
Dabber.
And best football mind?
Dean Wilkins.
Yeah. In recent seasons at Bognor, as you know, injuries have really hit us hard, with the likes of Chadfield and Calvin Davis being on the sidelines throughout this past campaign, Birmy, but being just two examples. What is the biggest injury you have received in the game? How long were you out for? And do you think it directly affects your mindset when you return to play?
No, I did. I broke my arm. I had a serious break when I was 13 years of age, playing for Lamport 72 against Seagulls. I got clipped from behind, landed on my arm, and I broke both. Well, actually, in fact, both the bones were hanging out the skin. So I had that re-broke. It didn't set. Then I had pin and plates put in it, and I had the pin and plates removed. For a while, did it affect me? Yeah, of course it did. I had to wear one of those arm braces. And one day I forgot to put it on, and I went training, and I was a bag of nerves. Absolute bag of nerves. Thinking, if I fall in this again, it's done. It's repeated. So to me, yeah, it was a serious arm break, to which I've not long had the pin and plates removed. So yeah, definitely that. It was horrific. Didn't like that one bit.
Do you still feel the side effects after that, even today with your arm?
Yeah, I do, especially in the cold weather. The cold weather really plays up. And when they went to take out the pin and plates, I've still got a bit of plate in the arm. So it's always good when I go on holiday. I've got to take a note from the doctor explaining why the old metal detector goes off.
Do you remember that season when we had to wait at, I think it was Walton and Hersham, to see if we got promoted? We had to wait to see if Lewis, I think, could get enough goals in their match, which meant the league position was in the balance due to goal difference. I remember you standing with Graham Bradford and celebrating, and it was one of the few times I made it onto the pitch to celebrate with the fans. What are your memories of that day?
I remember the day well, because only on the Saturday before, if we took a point against Lewis, we'd have already secured it. Lewis beat us 2-0 when the manager was Jimmy Quinn. They beat us 2-0 on that Saturday, and I think we had a big old crowd at Norwood Lane as well. Went to Walton and Hersham, never been a happy hunting ground for Bognor Regis Town Football Club, Walton and Hersham. And we're thinking, oh my God, here we go. One of our worst grounds in the world, and we've got to come here and try and get a point. And obviously we didn't know what was going on with Lewis, but Lewis was scoring goals for fun. I do believe it was against Windsor and Eton as well, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. I think they were scoring quite a lot of goals, and we were just, hanging on, waiting for it to finish.
Yeah,
I remember it.
They had to beat Windsor by 7 clear goals, and I think they got up to about 4 clear goals, and Windsor and Eton pulled one back to 4-1. But we had no recognition about what was going on. We just knew that we had a game plan. We had to get a point. A point was all we needed. And I do remember in about the 85th minute, Jamie Howes, bless him, and I'll still laugh at this story now. He gave away a square pass, and Walton and Hersham intercepted it. And I've never seen Howler run so fast in my life to chase that ball back, because even as he was running, you just knew there was going to be an old man in that dugout about to get out and scream in that voice, "Howler, what have you done?" And Howler's face just drained of all colour. He went white as a ghost. And for a little bloke with only short, dumpy legs, that's the quickest I've ever seen Howler move to chase back and put a tackle in. And moments like that, you think, oh my God, 42 games. It's all gone wrong now on the last day of the season. But fortunately, we held out. We got a 0-0, which was probably one of the most boring games to ever be involved in, because Walton and Hersham were going through the motions. They weren't interested. They was on their summer holidays. And we were still quite young, and I think we were very scared to put a foot wrong in case it cost us. But it was job done. Cool. I don't remember much of the weekend. I will be honest with you on that one. I know we had a good old party all weekend, and yeah, seeing Graham Bradford, got great memories of that, man. Great memories, and yeah, I can still see it now. We was in their little stand. You got the steps, and we was all up there singing and celebrating. So yeah, great day that was. Great day.
Yeah, it was so sad to hear about Graham Bradford's passing, obviously, in recent years. I remember him being a constant figure at the club, and when he was the ball boy and mascot before, and he was the ball boy, long before a mascot before Rocky Bear was even a thing. He loved his time at Bognor. What are your fondest memories of Graham?
Oh, Graham's just, he was, like I say, he's one of us, mate. He was great, and I've got so many great memories of Graham, but I think the best ones were Tiverton away, when he was stood up in their committee room. He's got his Bognor shirt off. He's swinging it above his head. We're all singing and really geeing him on. And he's eating all the food, and he's got his tongue. He was well renowned for having the biggest tongue in the world, Graham Bradford. It almost hit his kneecaps. And he was getting his tongue out, and he was singing and celebrating. And just seeing Graham happy like that, do you know what I mean? It's great. He's great. He was a great character. Or we'd have a team photo, and we would make sure that Graham would go out there in his cycling shorts, and we would cut a hole in his cycling shorts, so obviously everything will be hanging out. And so then you got Jack Pearce going absolutely mad and chasing around the ground. And he's brilliant. He took everything so well, Graham. And obviously it was very, very sad news, and I couldn't attend his funeral because I did not want to see my last memories of Graham Bradford being brought down in a coffin. I'd rather have the memories of him in my head when he was alive, happy, smiling, singing, joking, and being one of us.
Yeah, and he always was, and I loved how the club embraced him over the years, and yeah, it was a sad loss for the Rocks. We also lost legends like Doug Glossop and Bernie Gumbrell this past season, true stalwarts at the club, and two that had done a lot behind the scenes. I know they were around throughout your tenure, and again made the time at the club even more special for yourself and others.
Yeah. My eldest, Lewis, was absolutely devastated when I told him the news about Bernie, because obviously he used to come up to football when he was a kid, and Bernie used to look after him. And my Lewis hasn't been up Bognor for many, many, many a year. So to listen to him upset on the phone and couldn't believe it just shows what a character Bernie was as a human being, that he can still touch people that hasn't been involved with Bognor or gone up there for a few years now. And my eldest is, he's getting on a bit now. So, I mean, it's horrible. It hits you. It's awful. And I don't like hearing the news, but unfortunately it is part of life. And one thing I do know about Bognor is everyone gets affected by it. All the old players gets affected by it. And it's not one of them, we've left the club, we're going now, see you later. It's heart-wrenching. It really still is. Yeah,
definitely. And hearts go out to the friends and family. I believe a real highlight of your managing career was when you saved us from the drop in the 2007-8 season, Birmingham. We talked about that a bit earlier. What are your memories of that season when you took over as manager with Dabba Kilpatrick as coach, which saw us avoid relegation out of the Conference South division?
Oh, Jesus, we're in a spot of bother here. One thing you know with Dabs is he's a great football man. His coaching sessions are immaculate, and everything he does, he designed. He eats, sleeps, drinks football. He's got, obviously, I love Dabba to pieces. He's got more abbreviations after his name than anything at the moment. He's that degreed up now. And yeah, we really did it. I know we were joint, but I would make the decisions and Dabba would do all the coaching. And I learned a lot more in football in those 8 months. And the one thing we did turn around and say was at the start of the season was, we do not get relegated. We do not. Whatever we have to do by hook or crook, we do not get relegated. And proud man, I still keep that. We beat Lewis away 1-0 when Lewis won the league that year. Luke Nightingale scored a header. We also beat Havant Waterville in the FA Trophy when Havant Waterville went through to play Liverpool that year as well. So we've got some good times there. We beat Western-super-Mare at home 2-0, but obviously the biggest game was St Albans at home 1-0, which we touched upon. And I've never felt so mentally and physically drained after one season. That took a big toll. Big toll.
Yeah, Jamie, when I spoke to him in the last episode, he was saying how tiring it really is. I don't think people appreciate how tiring being a manager is.
No, you don't, because, and I listened to Jamie's podcast yesterday, and Jamie's right. As a player, you used to turn up and you'd have your towel there, you'd have all your kit there, you'd have your warm-up kit. All you had to do was bring your boots, your pads, your shower stuff, and make sure you're ready to play. As a manager and a coach, there's a lot more that goes into it. The preparation for maybe a game on a Tuesday after a Saturday, your preparation starts, boom, straight after the game. You have to know what players are injured, what players are suspended, what players are available. Then all of a sudden you have to work out the shape, the formation, the opposition, strengths, weaknesses. How can you counteract that by still being positive about your side? And it starts there and then at 4:45, 5 o'clock after that game. If we haven't got a game, then all of a sudden you have to start preparing about the training, the sessions, where you're having it, what you're going to work on, the opposition that's coming up in the future. If you've got a big cup game, your physio, what players are going to report for treatment, what players are highly going to be likely and unlikely. So there's a lot more involved than what people make out. And it is a very, very tiring and draining job. But at the end of the day, like I say, I've got a great family. My wife's great. She supports me. It'd probably do me. I'd probably kill her off if I was at home with her all the time anyway. But no, it's great, mate. It is. And you feel alive. You still feel alive, because I do miss football. I really do. And being on the sideline is the next best thing.
Dabba seems to be a mastermind when it comes to footballing tactics and his ability to get the most, particularly out of young players. Is this something that you noticed whilst working with him at the club?
Honestly, the way Dabba coaches, the way he can get his ideas across and so clear. It's like I say, I pinch ideas all the time off of Dabba. I was very fortunate to work with him for a long, long time. And to me, to be a good coach and a good manager, you have to pinch ideas off of other people, and then you have to blend them into your own ways of doing it. And I've learned so much off of Dabs, and I've pinched so much idea off of Dabs as well. And I owe Dabs a lot. And like I say, I still keep in touch with him, Dabba, as well. And he's got himself a lovely little family now as well. And him and Len, I've got a lot of time for. Grew up with Dabs, and I've had some very, very good times and good memories with him. And he's doing a great job at Chichester as well.
Yeah, fantastic, and we're all following what he's doing there. Despite the fact your priorities are with the Deans at the moment as manager there and doing a great job, Bermie, do you still keep an eye on what's happening at our football club as much as you can?
Of course I do. Of course I do. First result I look for after the game. I don't look for any other results in our league, because I'm not bothered about any other results in our league. All the time I know we're winning. I don't care how anyone else is doing in our standards. It's a matter of then how's Bognor getting on. And Manamar number 2 was played over 500 games at Gosport, so his first priority is Gosport. And so yeah, no, I know every result, everything that's going on. And look, they got an exciting future again, Bognor. They got themselves some good young players, and it's great. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's good to hear that you're keeping in touch and you know, staying abreast of what's happening at the Nywood Lane. Do Hornding appreciate that you are a Bognor legend and happy that you stay in touch in some ways with the Rocks and people associated with our club? I always wonder if there is any conflict of interest there, but I know you are focused on the Deans right now.
No. Look, listen, my number one priority is Hornding Football Club at this moment in time. We know that. It's the same as when I played for Bognor. My number one priority was Bognor. Hornding's a very, very good club, and I'm sure they are very, very thankful. I've still got good ties with Bognor, because I'm not being funny. We've played you in 3 pre-season friendlies now. Our pitch wasn't ready the other year, and if I didn't have good ties with Bognor would not have invited us to play at Nywood Lane, which my players absolutely loved, and not as much as I did. Even though it was a bit weird going in the away changing room, the away dugout, I didn't get me that one.
Is it any different? Is it quite different in the away dugout and away dressing room?
After 17 years of playing there, yeah, very different.
Yeah. You were one, if not the longest-running captains we've had throughout the club's history so far, Bermie. What are your thoughts on current captains Harvey White and vice-captain James Crane?
Harvey White's a very, very good captain. I know Harvey quite well. I'm a big fan of Harvey's as well. Big fan of him. And I listened to Craney's podcast the other day as well, and I believe he's right. He leads by example, Harvey. He's not a big shouter, screamer, baller, fighter, but one thing I can tell you now is he don't give up. He does not give up, and I can see why he's a big crowd's favourite. Really can, because even if he's in 95th minute and you're 4-0 down or 4-0 up, he will still give you that same amount of hard work and effort and honesty as what he will do in the first minute at 0-0. James Crane, when I first come back to Bognor, when Dabba and Aula was in charge, I really wasn't in the best state physically, and I actually got offered the armband, to which I gave to James Crane. I felt as though I was being given the armband because of what I've done previously in my time at Bognor, and I felt as though I had to earn the respect of the new younger generation that had come in. And I saw James Crane as a leader. I gave Craney the armband. I spoke to Dabba and obviously Jamie about it, because I wouldn't be so disrespectful and not speak to the management about it. But I gave it to him and I've just said, look, I have to prove myself again. I've got to prove myself. I've got to come back totally different. I've got to sort myself out. And until then, I think James Crane should be the captain, which they didn't necessarily agree with, but it went through. And Craney's a great leader. He's a good lad as well, Craney. When he first come in, I was thinking, God, who's this all about? And then I probably went back about 15 years and thought, oh, God, yeah, younger version of me now. So, yeah, I've got a lot of time for Craney. Good lad, good captain. And he's been a tremendous servant for Bognor. Admittedly, he went and joined that lot up the road for 1 year, but we all make a mistake in life, don't we? He rectified it pretty quickly.
No, I'm pleased to say he's back with us. And James Crane had some great comments about you and how he learnt from you, Burmy. How good is it for you to hear that players looked up to you and have been great successes on the pitch for Bognor since?
Yeah, it's always nice, but at the end of the day, it's the same as going to managing and coaching. If I didn't do my job, they wouldn't have learned. So at least I can go, well, I've done my job. I don't want to be patted on the back. I'm not all about pats on the back and going, oh, well done, Burms this, well done, Burms that. I don't want that. I just want to know that I've done my job, and I've done my job. I've done my job. Craney's learned from it, brilliant. Kane Will's learned from it, brilliant. That's me. I'm happy. I'm happy then. I've done my job. I've developed. I've helped these younger people come into it, and fantastic, brilliant. All the best to them as well.
No, I know they all look up to you, Burmy, and you seem to thrive. You seem to thrive as a player when you were made captain, in my opinion. When you were playing, did you feel pressure captain in the Bognor side? Was there a story behind you being named captain that you would like to share?
No, all I said to Jack Pearce was, once I found out the two Pullens were retiring in 1995-96, I think I pulled Jack probably in a drunken state at the end of season 2 and went, I want your armband. I want to represent you as a captain. To which he probably thought, oh, here we go. And left it at that. And then he phoned me up the next day and said, are you serious? I went, yes. He went, you're young, you're 19. I went, I know, but I want to be your captain. I want to captain the club. I feel that passionate about the club. I want to lead your side out to battle, to war every week. And I got appointed captain and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved wearing that armband, putting that armband up before a game when you go out and you look at the opposition in the tunnel. Proud moment.
No, it's. I think it's an iconic move, really, for you, and I think it was always on the cards. What are your views on being a leader? How do you get the best out of your teammates?
Look, everyone's got a different philosophy of the word leader. Mine was, I would lead from the front. If I went to battle, I would expect my people to go to battle with me. Once I crossed that white line, I had no friends. I had no friends in my own side, because I would have to speak to them or probably demand from them more than what they've ever expected. I had teammates, 100%. They represented me. They wore the same badge. They wore the same kit as me. But friends on that pitch, no, I had no friends. Not even in my own kit. I had a job to do. I probably upset a few people. They probably upset me. We've probably said a few words to each other. We've probably butted heads with each other. But as long as I got the 3 points, that was all that mattered. And in the final year under Jamie, that's probably when I was my most passionate about wearing the armband, because I knew that was my last year. And every game meant the world to me. Every game.
That's good to hear, Burmy. And What are your thoughts on Bognar's FA Trophy run to the semi-finals in the 2015-16 season?
It was brilliant. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't involved in the club, and yet you felt as though you was. And just messaging that Jack, Owler, Dabba, some of those games, some of those teams they were beating. And Torquay, was it Altrincham as well they beat?
That's right.
Altrincham as well. Like a little club, Bognor Regis Town Football Club, just goes to show what you can do once you're organised on the pitch and off the pitch, and you're disciplined. Because that's no freak, that's no fluke. They beat some serious sides. One off, you can go, okay, fair enough. They was a little bit lucky that game, bit of a freak. But no, they didn't do that. They got all the way to the semi-finals and pushed Grimsby all the way.
Yeah, and I always remember that year, and we had a really strong side, obviously with Pryor, Robson, so many other decent players, and it looked like we were at our peak there. And I know Jamie says he regretted, obviously, a bit that he didn't make it in the league because he thought that we had the best side in the league, and I fully agree with him that year.
Yeah, he did. But I'll tell you what, it's not a bad distraction to have, though, is it? Almost, you're 90 minutes away from Wembley. So, at the end of the day, being funny, let's have a look at it realistically. If I said to you now, that FA Trophy run, all the way again, the experience, the atmosphere, going to teams, doing what you did, or winning the league, what would you rather do? I think I'd rather relive that atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'd rather relive that, because that's only once in a lifetime. And for a club like Bognor Regis to do that is phenomenal. The league will come again, without a doubt. That will come again. Bognor's too good a side. They've got some great youngsters. That will come again in probably the next 2 to 3 years, without a doubt. The FA Trophy, I don't think you can predict next time you're going to have a run like that.
No. Certainly the run we had, the amount of teams that we had to get through to get to that point.
Yeah, it must have felt like a game every other week. It was brilliant. I still look at it now, and obviously I still speak to Jamie and Dabba, and when I spoke to Jack about it, because I didn't really want to bother Jamie and Dabba too much about it, so I was always speaking to Jack, going, look, pass on my best to the lads, because obviously Jamie and Dabba, they were focused on the opposition, they were focused on what they had to do. So the last thing you want is your phone keep going all the time with the same busy person going, oh, all the best lads, this, that and the other. So left them alone, but what an amazing job. An amazing job them two done. Like you say, the likes of Pryor, the likes of Rutherford, Robson. You had Stewie Green as well, banging the goals in from the middle of the park. James Crane, Calvin Davies. They're exciting names. And what an achievement. They've got that the rest of their life to live with, those memories. And that's outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And every single one of them deserves a massive amount of credit for their Bognor Regis Town history for achieving what they did there. And I don't think a lot of those players will probably understand until they're finished what an unbelievable achievement that was.
Yeah, fantastic season, fantastic memories for us all, Birmingham. But let's talk a little about your legacy. I'm talking about Harry Birmingham, of course. How proud of him are you as his dad at this moment?
I'm proud of all my kids, and yeah, I'm proud of Harry as well. He's okay. He's doing very, very well. He loves his football, absolutely loves it. And Chelsea fan like me, which not good at this moment in time, but no, he's a good boy. He's a good boy, and he's doing well. I don't get to see him as much as what I'd like to. I only saw him a couple of times last year, and one of them we played him in the cup quarter-final, so I actually got to see him close hand then.
That was when he was playing for the United Services team, wasn't it, against the Deans? The 5-2 cup competition result. Was that the senior cup there?
Yes, it was the Portsmouth Senior Cup. It's a cup that ideally I'd like to use as fringe players, so I can see what they're like against decent opposition. And United Services have got an outstanding young side. They were top of the table, league below us actually, and before the season got obviously null and void. And I know for a fact they're hungry to repeat what they did last season and finished the unfinished business. But yeah, it was 5-2 Portsmouth Senior Cup. Yes. And there's a good win for Horndean. So at least one Birmingham walked away from the ground happy.
Yeah. Does Harry play in midfield like yourself or in a different position?
No, he don't. Harry's 6'3", 6'4". I don't know where that come from, but yeah, he's 6'3", 6'4". He's a centre half, and so he's doing all right. He's doing all right. He's enjoying it. He's enjoying it. United Services, like I say, they're a good bunch of mates, very close knit. They've got wonderful team spirit, good manager, great assistant manager, and it's a club that I have a good relationship with because I've used or signed quite a few old United Services players, so I know the pedigree and the way they bring players through is the correct way.
Oh, that's good to hear, Bermie. And Harry's also been involved, I think, briefly with AFC Portchester on precaution. How did that all unfold for him?
Yes, he did. Harry was in the youth team when I got asked to take over, and so I went there, and he done okay. He made his first team debut in the cup final that year as well, but unfortunately I was already at Horndean then, and I managed to go and watch him in that, and he's done well. He's played in a couple of cup finals for Portchester, but then new managers come in with new ideas, and sometimes your face don't fit, your name don't fit, and he wasn't getting played so much, rightly or wrongly. I can't answer that. That's down to my son and the manager, and that's one thing I won't do. I won't interfere with Harry's life in his football. He knows where I am if he wants advice or he wants to vent off a little bit of anger, but I'm not going to dictate to him. And then, he went to United Services, and to be honest, I think he's found his love for football again. So he's a bit of a wind-up merchant as well, Harry. So he's loving it. He's loving it, and I'm glad to see the smile back on his face playing football.
Can you ever see him playing for Bognor anytime soon and becoming the second generation of Bermie for the Rocks?
I'd love him to, but I think one thing Harry's always said is he does struggle with his surname. People often try to say, "Oh, your dad, your uncle, this, that, and the other." But it's like I've said to Harry: at the end of the day, me and his uncle, we're done, we're finished. Shouldn't really speak and dwell on the past. It's up to him now. It's up to him. But look, as long as he's happy. If he's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, hear on that, Bermie. I've always thought that we should recognise the efforts of past Rocks players and make them feel special in some way. If the club ever considered it, would you be up for being inducted into a BRTFC Hall of Legends? My idea is one retired player would be inducted each year at the end of season players' evening.
Well, what an achievement that would be. Yeah, unbelievable. That would be phenomenal, that, yes.
I think when you ask any other other fans, they would probably name you as one of the inductees, and I think there's quite a few others that have gone down in history, like the Pullen brothers and various other individuals that have done really well for the club and really put really good effort in over the years.
Yeah, no, I'd say, look, you've just mentioned some great names there. Like I say, the two Pullens, brilliant, Mariner, and obviously, like you say, it's not just the people as well on the pitch. You've got to be looking at lots of Graham Bradford, Bernie, and people like that, because, like I say, without these sort of characters and these people, Bognor don't survive. And if anything, I'd love to be put on that, but I'd love for the likes of Graham Bradford and Bernie to be put on there way before me, because I think them two are magnificent and they deserve that.
Oh, that's good to hear, Bernie. And Dabba, as we look back, obviously, on your season, was a great coach alongside you when you saved us from relegation in that difficult season in the old Conference South. And I think you showed what you could do whilst at the helm. Would you ever consider the opportunity of working with someone like Robbie Blake at Bognor?
Oh, look what Robbie's done in his life. How could you not wish to try and work with someone like that? Unbelievable. And I've had a few conversations with Blakey about Bognor and about Horndean and players and everything like that. And so, but look, I've got a job at the moment. I've got a job at Horndean. Do I feel as though I've got unfinished business at Bognor? Yeah, I do believe I've got unfinished business at Bognor. Am I going to throw myself in the deep end and throw my hat in? No. They've got a manager. They've got a job. I've got a football club. I'm not going to be disrespectful to Horndean and say, yes, I want to come up. I want to do this. I want to do that. Because Horndean's been very, very good to me. Very good to me. They've given me an opportunity to be a number one. And I've done it without not any interference, because obviously we've got a chairman, we've got a committee, but they leave me to it. They trust me. They trust me, and like I say, I've got a soft spot for Horndean. Got some good people up there, but have I got unfinished business with Bognor? Yeah, I have. Yeah.
No, It's good to hear that we might see you in the future, Burmy. There is rumour that before Robbie Blake was called in to be coach back in 2018, that you were in talks to manage the side. Rocks fans heard that a deal couldn't be struck. Is this true? And what do you remember from this time?
Yeah, that is true. I went and sat down with Jack Pearce at a Holiday Inn Express in Farrington. And look, I'm not going to go too much into it because Jack's ideas for what he wanted me to do were a little bit different from myself. He wanted me to come in and really work with him as maybe being a number two until a few weeks of the season started. Then he's going to step away. I didn't think that would work. I just thought, and I know why he tried to do it. He wanted to kind of work with me and guide me. But I just thought I'd look a bit of a puppeteer. It would still be so Jack's pulling the strings. And if I want to be a number one, I believe I've got to do it my way. And if I'm going to make mistakes, I'll make mistakes doing it my way. If Jack wants to be in the background for advice and anything like that, by all means, yes. But no, I didn't want to come as a number two, then step into a number one. I wanted to be number one. I wanted to have pre-season plans, how I wanted it done. And maybe that was a little bit stubborn of me. Maybe that was a little bit me being strong-minded. I don't know, but that's my beliefs. That's my beliefs. And like I say, no one fell out about it. We sat down. We had a good chat about it, me and Jack. And we was a little bit off the board. We needed to meet further in the middle than what we actually got to.
I think it's yet to be seen now. I think there's, in the future, would you see yourself coming back to the club in either a managing or a coaching role at Bognor?
Like I say, I think I've got unfinished business, but I've also got a good job on warehouse manager at Mr. Central Heating, and a lot of it for like the commute, the travel. Obviously, the higher up you go, the longer the journeys, and that's also got to fit into my work as well. So
you enjoy your work, Burmy, away from football?
Absolutely love it. I love it. I'm working with a great team. They're great. It's a great company. Every day's different. You turn up, like I say, we're laughing and joking, but we're serious. But no, I really, really, really enjoy getting up every morning and coming to work.
That's good to hear, Burmy. As people may not already know, the club has development plans in the pipeline to improve the ground with a new main stand, seasons covered end, toilet block, new floodlights, tannoy system, changing facilities and boardroom. You can donate to the cause by visiting www.gogetfunding.com and search for Rocks Development. Burmy, I'm interested to know your view on the Rocks Facilities Developments planned to take place this summer.
How exciting is that? It's brilliant. Seeing the plans, everything like that. I've spoke to Jack. Like I said, I spoke to Jack on Wednesday. He was asking me questions about certain aspects of it. And no, I think it's great because even though that stand's been there since year dot and it's got a lot of history, the club do have to keep up and move on with the other clubs' facilities in and around Bognor as well. And I think this is a big, big step to their plans, their beliefs and their ambition to want to go up again.
Yeah, and obviously the rules are always changing in terms of ground grading and amount of seats in the stands and things like that. So I think they're doing this to meet those demands and hopefully sort of push up the way through the leagues over the next sort of 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it's very easy for people to go, oh yeah, do you know what? We want to go up. We want to go up. We want to do this. But actually putting actions in speaks a lot louder than words. And now with this new stand and the new facilities and everything getting built, I think it's actually stamping a claim here to go, look, I'm not just saying it now. We are getting our ground all up together. We are getting ready for the next step in life, whether it be promotion or whatever. And this is what we're going to do to make sure that we can do that. So we're ready, not only on the pitch, but off the pitch, we're ready to make that transition as well and go bang, straight up.
Yeah, totally agree, Burmy. And talking of grounds, what are some of your most memorable and favourite grounds to visit as a player and a manager in your days so far?
Grounds, every ground I've won at, I've loved. Every ground I've lost out, I've despised. Aldershot, enjoyed that with the 4,000 people baying for you, quite a hostile crowd. Believe it or not, one of the best grounds I've really enjoyed playing at was obviously Worthing. It was just because it meant so much. It meant so much more to me. And it was good walking out that big tunnel underneath the stand. And it was even better walking in once they were absolutely abusing you. You've walked away with 3 points. It was great.
Yeah, it meant more to you, obviously, those days playing against Worthing and playing on their ground.
Yeah, yeah, it was brilliant. Obviously, Newport County was a tough place to go. That was very tough. But yeah, no, look, Havant Waterville, I enjoyed that. But again, I didn't really class that as rivalry to me. They had their own rivals with Farnborough, Aldershot. But to me, there's only one ground. It was Bognor. I really loved playing at, and then followed closely by Worthing every Boxing Day and every Easter Monday. Those were the two that really meant more to me.
Yeah, great memories indeed. If you had the chance to, Birmy, to come back to the football club, what would you like to change and why?
I'd like to change the last game result against Chatham.
Yeah. When I look back at that day, it was a very frustrating day, wasn't it, for players and fans and everybody involved with the club?
Yeah, no, that's the only thing. That's the only thing I'd like to change. And it was very frustrating. And do you know what? I'm still good friends with Jim Cooper, the Met Police manager. And every birthday, I'll send him a message like, 1 goal. You ruined my life by 1 goal. Happy birthday. Hope you're proud. And I normally get a sarcastic one back. But yeah, that to me, I can't get over that. And I don't think I ever will get over that. Never. I just cannot believe 1 goal and Chatham after all that hard work. No. Like I said, I struggle to get the grips with that. And I know Ian Guppy sent me a link. He does all these great camera videos and that. And I'll watch it all, except that last game. Can't watch that.
No. Difficult one, that one. If you wanted to leave a legacy as a player, Birmy, which I think you have anyway at Bognor, what would you want your legacy to be, and how would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to be remembered as loyal, honest, and passionate. I was very loyal for 17 years. As Bognor were very loyal to me as well. It works both ways. It's not just me. It's Bognor were very loyal to me by offering me new contracts and allowing me to sign time and time again. Passionate. Look, I love the football club. I love the football club. I love the place, and I feel privileged to have been in and around it for 17 years. And honestly, I just can't. I just cannot believe it's been 10 years, and that's all I hope. I just want people to remember as I gave everything. I might have had a bad game. I might have got sent off. I might have been booked. I might have done a silly tackle. But I just want, hopefully, some good memories.
No, I think fans obviously always remember the memories of Birmy. Final question, Birmy. I know you wanted to do this podcast with me as you wanted to stay in touch with the Rocks fans far and wide. And I appreciate that as do all the fans. It's been a long time coming. What would be your final message to Bognor fans to end this interview at this time?
There's only one message, isn't there? That's it. It's just Green Army. That's it.
Green Army.
Green Army. I missed that.
You missed the chanting and the fans' interaction with the players, particularly.
Yeah. That is just that. Just listening to that, it was brilliant, and can't ever be replaced. And do you know what? Even every time we play you in a friendly Horndean Bognor, and I just think, go on, please. And even though I'm in the other dugout, I think, go on, please, just break out to it one more time. And I know it's difficult because it's a pre-season friendly, but I'm thinking, I just need to hear that sent just one more time, and hopefully one day I will.
I think it's only a matter of time, Birmy. And do you think there will be a pre-season friendly with Horndean in the not too distant future for next season, particularly whenever that starts?
Yeah, I would love to hope so. Obviously, it's very difficult to try and arrange pre-season at this moment in time, but I would love to, because, like I say, my players really appreciate it, and they know they've got to be on their top game. Because if they're not on their top game, I think the first year we played you, we got beat 6-0, and I think we gave away 3 penalties because we switched off at vital times, and we were very tired. And don't take nothing away from Bognor, by the way; they were immense that day. And then the second year, I think we come up to yours. We drew 0-0 with your first team at half time. And then you played a few trialists, to which we dominated and won 3-0. And then last year, we drew 1-1, which we were very fortunate as well, because my keeper, Big Lloyd Thomas, made a very, very good penalty save and then followed up the rebound with a great save. So they're good games. They're really good games. It's like I say to my players, these are the clubs you want to be involved in. watch their movement, their rotation, their understanding. I said, this is it. If you're not concentrating for the full 95 minutes, they will unpick you and they will find a hole. And with Bogner's rotation, don't always follow the players. Just hold the space. Don't follow the players, because what they're trying to do is suck you out to hit you in behind. And certain things like that test you as a manager and a coach as well. And my players love it. They come off every time we play. You go, and they're a different level. They are a different level. What a side! And I think it's great. And I love seeing the old faces. And yeah, I can't see no reason why not. And I'm sure Jack can't as well. We try and play the right way. We try and emulate the way Bogner play. We haven't got there yet. We're not a million miles away, but they're always good, competitive, well-played games.
Yeah, and I hope that we get to play you guys again next season personally. Burmy, many thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you spending the time to tell fans more about your favourite moments and past involvement with the club. Thank you for all your efforts over the years and the special memories you have given Rocks fans far and wide. I know I speak for all fans when I say I hope we haven't seen the last of you at Bogner. Who knows what the future holds? It would be great to catch up again soon and maybe, just maybe, have a pre-season friendly at Horndean in the meantime. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'd love to come up there. I have said, because a good friend of mine, Steve Lee, is obviously two boys like they're Ashton and Tommy. And I have promised him that I will come up, Carson and I, make sure the number 8 shirt's probably doing enough miles. And yeah, I'd love to see you back down Horndean for a pre-season friendly, because that makes up my year. That makes up my pre-season, seeing these faces again. And it's great. And I want to thank you for this podcast, because I've listened to every single one. They've been absolutely brilliant, mate. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, Burmy. It means a lot.
Spirits up, and stay safe, all of you. Stay safe.
Thanks, Burmy. Again, a big thanks to Rocks legend Michael Birmingham for being my guest today. And getting the chance to chat with him was great fun for me, and I'm totally geeking out over this. Burmy is the club manager at Horndean, and I know for a fact Rocks fans will continue to keep a close eye on what's going on there. If you would like to get your say in an upcoming episode of On the Rocks, then please contact me on Twitter at Liam Goodley. If your business would like to sponsor our podcast, then please contact David Robinson to talk you through the options. Get your company mentioned on the air with us on every episode. This has been an On the Rocks podcast production, brought to you by the BRTFC Supporters Club. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Up the Rocks.